We're here in Arab, Alabama with James L. Carson. And Mr. Carson, what's your date of birth?
11/22/22, November the 22nd, 1922.
Okay, and
So that makes me 98.
yeah. And where were you born?
I was born in Blount County, down close to Sneed. Yeah.
So just down the road a little
Yeah,
bit.
down.
And you pretty much grew up in this area?
Yeah,
all your
my
life?
father bought the farm that we live on now. He bought that farm in 1928, and we've been on the farm since 1928. Yeah.
Okay. And where are we? What's this building we're in right now?
Okay, this building was the old Arabian Theater. It went out of business, so the city purchased the building, and we have it leased from the city of Arab, yeah, for our museum.
It's but now it's called what?
It's called the Cost of Freedom Veterans Museum.
Okay. And been here for 10 years.
Yes, yeah, we opened up here in August of 2011.
And just briefly, what all? What's a brief description of the museum?
Okay, well,
I know you'll show me around, but
yeah, okay, well, what we have done, the items that we have here, Jeff, some of the items we purchased, some are on loan, and some were donated. So it's a sort of a triple deal. We bought some of the items, and then people loaned us some items, and then some people just gave them to us.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, show me around.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing we have, I guess, is pictures it's pictures of airplanes, pictures of ships, maybe men, soldiers, sailors, Marines that served in the different wars. And we have pictures that have been donated to us. Some of them we have purchased, and others are on loan for us, yes.
Okay.
Then, actually, Jeff, the way we have set up, we have organized it. We start with the Revolutionary War, we go from that to the Civil War, and then from that to World War I, on around to the different wars to the present day. And we have a uniform from the uniform here from the Revolutionary War time, along with a weapon of that time period. And I'll show you the weapon. It was, of course, what they call the muzzle loader. You're familiar with the term.
Yeah.
It was a flint. So the uniform and the rifle was from the...
I've got a replica similar to that.
Great, yeah. And of course, from that we went into, we have a display here of items from World War I. You can take a picture of the different things we've got. As you can see, we've got the helmets, canteens, mess kits, a bugle from the war time
that's
period.
Cool.
Yeah. And various items that we have accumulated over time. Yeah. We also have, this is the, everybody wants a 45 caliber.
Yeah.
From the World War I time period. That one, yeah. We also have let me just show you this. This is, of course, the M1 with a fixed bayonet. And I'll bring it up where you can get a nice bolt action, as you can see.
And that looks
With a fixed
authentic.
It is from World War I time, yeah.
That's nice. Nice to have one of those
Yeah, yeah, there.
from that time period.
Yeah, yeah. There's a big demand for the weapons of that time period, World War I time period. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially the sidearm. Yeah. And then we have World War II German uniform that we've accumulated, along with some items from the time periods. This is all German, the swastika and ammunition, a bazooka, the various helmets, and a weapon from the World War II time period. And telephones from that time period are also, we managed to accumulate a couple of those. And we have the bazooka with ammunition.
I've never seen one of those up close.
Yeah. Then over on the wall, of course, we've got the Japanese rising sun. We have the swastika flag up there from Germany.
Yeah.
And this is World War II Japanese
Somebody dropped their grenade.
combat. Yeah, right. That's a sandy beach for beach landing. Yeah. And helmets from World War II, Japanese. Along. Now that's a Japanese flyers winter and summer.
Yeah.
Flyers uniform. Of course, the fur lined, and then of course the lighter weight then for summertime. Yeah. Along with the Japanese 7.7 millimeter rifle. Yeah, what we've tried to do, Jeff, is to represent the time period and the articles that the military used.
Well, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Nice little MASH unit,
Yeah,
basically.
right.
That medic or surgeon may be a little too clean.
Yeah, he's been on the job, you can see. Yeah. And of course, we have some statistics of the World War II era from 1941 to 45, the things that would be of interest to some people. Yeah. Now, when the troops went out into the field on maneuvers, they carried the switchboard out into the countryside. Well, maybe if there was no power there, we had the generator, a little portable generator that we used to generate power to operate the switchboard. And that we have one of those. And
So you were a radio operator.
Yes,
What did you carry?
I had the radio that was mounted in the truck, and we had heavy-duty batteries. That our radio was operated off the batteries. And if it got weak, then we would crank the engine and build our batteries up. But we had communications out in the field right along with the commander. Yeah. And now here, as I was showing you back there, You couldn't operate very well with a long M1 rifle in the cab, so they issued me the little, what they call the grease gun. And,
Oh, okay.
and it does look like a grease
It
gun.
does look like it.
Yes, it is. It's got a 9-inch threaded barrel. It's got a 15-round clip of .45 caliber ammunition along with it, and it's got the flexible stock.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that was called the grease gun, and yeah, and that was my weapon. Being in the truck, I couldn't operate with that big M1 rifle. Carson that was killed in France.
James Frank Carson?
James Frank Carson was killed in France in World War I. All right, I have the telegram that
Oh, wow.
Western Union sent to my grandmother about his death.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the war was over, my uncle who came home kept working with the War Department. And so finally, in 1924, they had his remains brought to the U.S., and he's buried down here at Sneed, Zion Hill Church down here at Sneed.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got the date of his funeral. His remains were brought back to the U.S., yeah. But yeah, that's the actual telegram that my grandmother received about his death, yeah. It's sort of dim because of the age of it, but yeah, you may have to get some light on it. This is just, my grandfather, John Bruce, was in he was in the Civil War. Well, my grandmother was, let's see, this was a letter. She was trying to get compensation, I think. You can read the letter here. That this was in June of 1912, I think. You can get where you get to. You can just go ahead.
1918, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Over 100 years.
Yeah. Okay, now what I've got, Jeff, is a lot of information, and so you can just select. I did want to show you that this picture was taken. That's Ken Jackson. He was a radio buddy. Ken Jackson, 6'7", and I'm 5'2", but we were on the same radio team. And that was in Kilmer, New Jersey in 1944, just before we went overseas together. We were on the radio team. All right, then in 1946, 2 years later, we were still together in the radio station on occupation duty. Same Ken and me. But this was 2 years after. This was in 44, and this was in 46.
Hey, you may have been small, but looking at that picture, you look pretty stout.
Well, you had to. The sergeant says, shape up, you shaped up. Yeah, this, the guys just tease us. You know the old comic strip, Mutt and Jeff?
Yeah.
They used to call us Mutt and Jeff. Now, this is just, I had the 3 brothers. Now, I had a cousin, Dean Carson. Dean Carson enlisted in the medical corps in 44, I think it is. Okay, my brother Frank, two years older than me. Frank enlisted in the Air Force on the 17th of December of 41, 10 days after Pearl Harbor. And he was in till 46. in the Galapagos Islands on sentry duty. Well, then he went in, Dean went in 44, Frank went in 41.
Yep.
I finished high school, went in 44, in 43. Now my brother, I've got a brother, Charles, I've got a different picture of my brother Charles, enlisted in the Navy in 44. Then my youngest brother, Bill, went on and finished high school, and he enlisted in the Air Force in 48. So my mother had 4 in the World War II and Korean War.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And this is the Macaulay, General Macaulay, where he told him nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's you make a picture of it if you want to.
Yeah.
Of that was General Macaulay. That was, the Germans requested he give up, and that's what he told them, says nuts. He wasn't giving up. All right, let's see. Now this stuff here is souvenirs. This is souvenirs, and you can just I'll just show it to you, and then you can take whatever picture you want on it.
Yeah, I'll take pictures after the video.
Yeah, just let me show it to you, and then you
Sure.
take pictures whatever you want. Oh, I was going to show you. Now this was my shoulder. In fact, I've still got my World War II uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in the...
You still wear it too.
Yeah. In fact, they requested I come to the parade and stuff in uniform around town. Hey,
We might do that for our picture portrait.
we
If you want to.
We could. I don't mind. You see the 6-9 here. That's the
Okay, yeah.
That's the 69th Division. I was in the 6th, but I was in the 569th. You see the 5?
Yeah.
569th Signal Company.
Yeah.
I was in the 569th Signal Company of the 69th Division. So
Right.
that was our shoulder patch, yeah. Let's see. Oh, I need to show you this. We captured a German captain. We captured him, alive. And of course, he was in uniform, with his dress uniform when we captured him.
Yeah.
Well, apparently somewhere in time, he had been awarded the Iron Cross.
How about that?
But when we captured him, I didn't steal it, I liberated it. And there is a difference. So, in our capturing him, we felt, well, okay, we're entitled to whatever we want. He didn't need any longer because he's a prisoner. But that's a German cross. Now on that was awarded to him. You may have to get it.
Let's see.
38.
16 December 1938.
Yeah, that was awarded to him then. Yeah. Some people kid me about. Say, well, that's you should have left that over there. Well, who was I going to leave it with? I mean, he was somewhere way off in prison, I guess.
Yeah.
When I came home. So that's how I happened to have it. I wanted to explain to you that it wasn't that it was not stolen, but liberated.
All right.
Yeah. You get the idea, don't you? Okay. And this. Let's see. Yeah, you know what this is.
Well,
see if it tells you on there.
It's kind of dark. I can't
Oh, okay.
read it very well. What is it?
Good Conduct Medal. It's a good.
Yeah, got your name on it too.
Yeah, good conduct medal. Yeah, I tried to be a good little soldier. Yeah, I was awarded that. And this is a campaign ribbon for the Central. I forget. Anyway, I was awarded the medal for the European campaign.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, but.
ETO.
Yeah. Now on the another captured prisoner, he was a flyer.
Does that come off the?
That came off his uniform, you know.
Okay. I didn't know if
Flyer's uniform.
Okay, I didn't know if it came off there or.
No, it was a different one. Yeah. And this was a little emblem thing that came off of a cap.
Okay.
A cap.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah,
of.
the cap. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, is what they call the ruptured duck. That was our discharge. When you came out of on discharge, you had that on your
Oh, okay.
sleeve of your uniform.
I have not seen one of those.
Yeah. It's
Didn't know about it.
Called the ruptured duck, yeah. And this is just, I don't know, it has significance. I can't remember exactly. Oh, and
Desert Storm.
Yeah, this was a belt buckle. See that swastika
Yeah,
off of a
I see. Yeah.
belt buckle.
Now you think that would belong to
That was off
infantry or?
probably infantry band, yeah. Mm-hmm. And this was picked up, I think, now in 2004, no, 2008, I got to make an honor flight. I got to make an honor flight. Okay, I had a buddy, Carl Fritch, was my Army buddy, radio Army buddy, that lived in Pennsylvania. So when the war's over, Fritch went back to Pennsylvania. And of course, we stayed in touch with, phone calls, Christmas cards occasionally. But when I got confirmed on that honor flight, I called him in Pennsylvania. Told him, I said, hey, Fritchie, I'm going to be in Washington on the 11th of October at the museum. He says, I'll see you there. When I got off the plane, he was waiting for me, and the first time we had seen each other in 62 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I attended a little country school.
Yeah.
Back then, when I was a kid growing up in the 20s, up to the mid-20s, we had a little country school that was about a half mile from where we lived, Hunt School. And I went to Hunt School. Now, back then, they were teaching the 7th grade at Hunt School. They had 2 teachers, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Then the principal had the 4th, 5th, 6th, and the 7th grade. Well, I finished the 7th grade at Hunt School. Mm-hmm. And of course, then I was to go on to Blount'sville to finish high school. But when I got down to Blount'sville, Mr. Pennington, the principal, said, no, Hunt School wasn't an accredited school. He says, you're going to have to take the 7th grade over. And so I finished through the 7th, 8th, 9th, to the 12th grade. I graduated the 27th of April of 1943. And of course, by then, I was 20 years old, 22. And I was subject to the draft, so I went to the Army as soon as I got out of high school.
And you were, let's see, how many siblings did you have?
Oh, I had three brothers. Yeah, I had an older brother,
Yeah.
Frank, and myself, then Charles and Bill, the two youngers. Yeah, we were all about 2 years apart.
Okay.
Yeah. And Frank, of course, was the one who volunteered for after Pearl Harbor. 10 days after Pearl Harbor, Frank enlisted in the Air Force and went to the Galapagos Islands for his tour duty. They kept him down there till 46. Oh no. But of course, I went in the military and went to Camp Shelby and then overseas.
And your other two brothers also served?
Yeah, Charles was the next brother, and when he left Hunt School, he went to work in Birmingham for a contractor, and he worked for him till 44, and then he went and volunteered for the Navy. Well, Bill was in high school, and he went on to finish high school in 48. Then he enlisted in the Air Force, and Bill was in the Air Force 16 and a half years, so yeah.
Okay, so he was in during Korea.
Yeah, Bill was in the Air Force during the Korean War. He went to Japan and was overseas. Went to England. He was stationed in England a lot too. Yeah.
You were telling me earlier about when you went to England and got ready to go, ended up right
Oh yeah.
about the time of the Battle of the Bulge beginning.
Yeah.
Tell me about being over there.
Yeah, the 69th Division was trained at Camp Shelby, and there was an infantry outfit. They had 271st, 272nd, 273rd Infantry regiments. But then they had the Signal Corps, Signal Company, the 569 Signal Company. And we went over as a division, the whole division. We went to England. We went to Camp up at that New York there. Can't remember now, but we shipped over in December. We left New York Harbor on the night of the 30th of November of 44. We landed at Southampton, England on the night of the 13th of December of 44. And of course, they shipped us down to Winchester, England, is where we were based. And so that was the 13th of December. Well, the 16th of December is when the Battle of the Bulge broke out. We weren't even settled in good in England, but they got us ready, and we got all of our equipment together, and then we got on the ship and went across to Lorraine, France, and got on in the Seine River. And then we went up to Lorraine, France, and where we got off on the shore. And from there, we went to St. Vith, and of course the Battle of the Bulge was, going rampage.
How close were you to that area?
We were within probably 15 miles of the battle front lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 271st Infantry, my radio truck was the communications from 271st back to division headquarters. So we traveled with them, but we went to numerous towns and cities on the way toward Bastogne. Yeah. And so we got pretty close to the front when it was over. But after that, we were still involved. So we met the Russians. We were still moving toward Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
We met the Russians on the 25th of April at Torgau, on the Elbe River. Is where we met the Russians. I think I had a picture there where the east meets west. Of course, the Russians were coming toward Berlin, and we were moving toward Berlin as well. But we were, of course, stopped. They stopped us and let the Russians move in on Berlin. We didn't go into Berlin proper, but we were on the front lines almost time. Yeah.
Now, I saw on the citation for your unit that I think there was one place that mentioned you moved many times within a short, maybe 2 weeks or so.
We might stay and move into a little town and be there maybe a night or 2 nights or even 3 nights. But then we were moving up.
Moving on into Germany.
Yeah.
What are some of the types of communications that you would be responsible for as a radio guy?
Yeah. If there was an assignment for the 271st Infantry Regiment sent down from headquarters to the colonel or the lieutenant colonel in charge of the 271st Infantry, then we picked up that. See, everything that we sent and received was encoded. It was encoded, and what we did, we would receive the message, and of course we had our book, and we would decode and write it out in longhand to give to the colonel. And if he replied, he wrote it out in longhand, but we took our book and decoded back to division headquarters, and they in turn had an operator who he had to do the thing the other way to take it back. But yeah, we dodged a few 88 shells. That 88 millimeter shell, that was.
You probably heard a lot in the distance
you could hear those things coming. You could actually hear them whining as they came through the air. So you knew to take cover.
They could travel for miles.
Oh yeah, they could be maybe 15, 20 miles away from you. But their artillery, they knew generally where we were located. But when we did, if it's daytime, we were on the move, we pulled to the side of the road and hit the ditch, till the shelling was done. But thank goodness we never got hit or got hurt. But we had about 20 inches of snow. A lot of times it'd come on snow at night and be maybe a foot deep. But we had, of course, 4-wheel drive on our vehicles, and we could move up, continually moving up with that. But it wasn't fun. It was just a job. But I was just blessed that I never got hurt and no injuries. And now we lost one guy from they called message center. We would get a message, say from division to the colonel, and we would give these drivers the message to carry to the colonel. So Corporal Snedden was on a truck one day, a vehicle. We gave him a message to carry to the front lines. Well, as he and Bob Erickson went, they got in a Jeep and started for the division headquarters. And as they went by a burned out American tank, Snedden said he thought he saw movement around that burned out tank. But they was in a hurry to get that message there. So when they came back, they pulled over pulled a Jeep over and started walking out in the field toward that burned out tank.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 2 Germans in there, and they shot and killed Snedden. Corporal Snedden was killed right there. But that Bob Erickson was injured in the leg. They shot his leg, but he got back in the Jeep and got away and went back and reported it. But we lost the one guy there that right out of our unit right with us. Yeah. But after the war's over, I was assigned occupation duty. And we still maintained communications. We were in Heidelberg, and there was a big building, a 3-story building. Well, we occupied that 3rd floor for our use because we took our radios and antennas to the roof. Yeah. And that gave us, a good connection. And we were able to operate out of that to wherever, whatever units we were in charge of. But then General Patton was assigned over the occupation duty. And he was, his living quarters was in Mannheim, Germany. So this particular Saturday morning, the general and the colonel was going out pheasant hunting. And they left Mannheim, were coming down a street. Well, there's a street over here that was heading opposite direction. But the bystander that saw the incident, he said that General Patton's car was coming here with this 6x vehicle with 3 guys in it, was going this way. Well, when they come to this crossover, this 6x turned again across that way at a high rate of speed and kept on. And as General Patton's car came down this way, this 6x T-boned right into his vehicle. And of course, his neck was broken, and he lived, I think, 9 days and nights in the hospital before he passed away. But I've always felt that it was a deliberate thing, because I know, and you know, that 6x when you make a turn in that thing, you got to slow it down. You can't make a high-speed turn and not slow down. But this incident, the bystander said there was 3 GIs, or 3 people in the 6x in uniform. But before the MPs got there, these 3 guys in the truck were still long gone. They never did know who was in the truck. But the truck T-boned, and of course, General Patton had the broken neck, and the colonel was injured, but not seriously. But I've always felt it was a deliberate act against General Patton. Yeah, it was deliberate. They T-boned his car. But
well, there's different stories.
Yeah, you get a lot of different views of what happened and what didn't happen. But General Patton, he was brash, rough talking, but George Patton got the job done. He did. He got the job done. And so he had a target on him. I'm sure that somebody had something to do with it. Yeah, those things. That kind of an accident just doesn't happen, like I say, 6x. And you know from experience that a GI truck, that 6x, you don't speed it around a corner. And if you're in a crossover, you're going to slow down, because you're going to maybe have to stop at that next intersection. But they didn't. They just T-boned right in. So it had to be a deliberate act, whoever was behind it. Yeah.
You mentioned to me before your unit was involved with or helped liberate some camps, right?
Yeah, yeah. As we moved up, from time to time, right toward the end of the war, we went by. I think I'm almost certain it was Belson. Belson was the one that we partially liberated, and I took that picture from them.
Yeah, this one here.
Oh yeah, but a lot of people had a hard time believing, or they just wouldn't believe that the Holocaust happened, but it did. It absolutely happened, and it was horrible. Yeah, those people, they were starved to death, and they were beat to death, they were worked to death, they were gassed, and it just wasn't in nearly every one of those internment camps that the Germans set up and put these people in.
And
It was
everything they had taken away from them.
took everything they had, and
Even gold teeth.
they just it was a deliberate act to get rid of them. Yeah. It's horrible times. Yeah.
When I was in Germany, we visited. We were mostly in Berlin, but we went to another Hanover, Germany, also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But outside Berlin, we went to visit the house that had been turned into like a SS retreat or
Yes.
place on a lake,
Mhm.
and that's where the meeting was held, but with the 15 top German people who
The brass.
decided what to do with the Jews.
Mhm.
What was the final solution, they called it.
Yeah, right.
And so we visited that house. It's still there, and learned some more about that. It was an eerie feeling being right there where they made the decision of what to do with the Jews.
To eliminate them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you try to think that how could any person, anyone, have that much hatred for somebody that they didn't even know, and just simply because of who they were Jews, but of course that's biblical history. The Jews have always been at the end of the thing. They're accused of being the cause of things, and they're just people that want to live and have a life. Yeah, it's horrible times back then, and still. But
what did you do after the war when you came home?
When I got home on the 16th of April of '46, the 5th day of May of '46, I enrolled at Sneed College full time. I went to the campus for 2 years. So I got my teaching degree from Sneed College. Well, at that particular time, there was a lot of GIs that were eligible for on-the-farm training. You know, they had that program for guys that wanted to farm.
Mm-hmm.
They had what they call the on-the-farm training. Well, I had a class of 22 ex-GIs that I was teaching Auburn recommendations. See, Auburn was recommending, here's the way to farm, and that was passed to us as teachers of the veterans, this is what you will teach them, how to do and what to plant. So I taught veterans agriculture for 38 months, from 48 to 51. Well, over that 38 months, all these 22 guys finished up their training. So in the meantime, while I was teaching, I was enrolled at University of Alabama, Huntsville Night School. I was taking accounting and payroll studies. So when these guys finished their training, I went to the arsenal and went to work for Roman Haas Company as a payroll supervisor.
Where was that?
Payroll supervisor.
I mean, where?
Rome and Haas was a contract company that had a contract
nearby?
at Redstone. So,
Okay.
and I went to work with Rome and Haas on the arsenal as payroll supervisor for. Yeah, I had 158 people that I paid twice a month, semi-monthly. And back then, in 51, we had the old pen and pencil payroll. We had the payroll journal, then you had your earnings record card, then the check. So I physically wrote 158 checks twice a month. When I get the payroll ready, I go to the company, the person in charge of the company president. Mm-hmm. And he had the little signature machine.
Yeah.
So I'd run my checks in there and pull the lever, and he'd okay it. And I did. I did that for probably 8 or 9 months. Then National Cash Register came out with a different. They came out with a machine, payroll machine. There, you ran it through a machine, and it printed it. They printed the journal, the earnings record card, and the check. But I still, of course, had to go to the commander and get the signature on the checks. Mm-hmm. Well, that went on for probably 3 or 4 or 5 years, I don't know. Then IBM came out with the big 2,000-pound IBM machine that prepared checks. So the company ordered that, and that, of course, left me. All I had to do is just make sure that we got the paper run through the machines. I had 2 ladies helping me in payroll and accounting, and we did the payroll right there on the spot through that machine. The girls operated the machinery, and so Roman Haas, I worked there 15 years before Roman Haas finished the contract and left. So when they left, I came home, and Hall Chemical had built a manufacturing plant out here on 69. And what they would do out at the plant, the guys had their earnings record card, and their little payroll card. Well, they'd take those time cards, gather them up, say like on Tuesday, send them to Cleveland, Ohio, to the home office, and they would make up the checks and mail them back. Well, the mail sometimes would be late, and the payroll would be late. Come Tuesday payday, the checks weren't there. So Mr. Hall, Jim Hall, said, well, I'll be able to fix that. So he built an office for payroll and accounting and shipping and receiving here at Arab. And I was hired to I was office manager for Hall Chemical for 15 years before I retired. So it's been a fun trip. But you know, just they have closed the. See, Mr. Hall passed away. Mrs. Hall had complete control of all the business. Well, of course, she was she's in her 70s, and she said, I just can't do this. So she sold the company to Goldman Brothers. Well, the Goldman Brothers bought it with the intentions that Jim Hall had contracts all over the United States and everywhere that we were shipping to. But when he passed, of course, she sold it to Goldman. Then the Goldman Brothers bought it, and they said, well, we'll buy this thing and we'll resell it and we'll make a bundle. But they messed around. The Goldman Brothers they didn't know what they were doing. They let the company go down, and it lost a lot of contracts. Well, they lost it. It actually went up for sale. They lost it. They had bought it, I guess, through, I don't know, time, but it came up for sale. Well, the material, manganese metal, was one of the primary products that was used out there. And they got that from Belgium. Mr. Hall was buying it. They would ship it to the United States in metal drums, big metal drums on pallets, and shipped to the U.S. And then they had trucks that would haul it then down to Arab. We had 9 over-the-road trucks, Peterbilts, that picked up the material, brought it there, and when it was finished, they took it out and distributed it to the people it was sold to. But anyway, Goldman Brothers lost it, and it went up for sale. So the company in Belgium, Almacor, bought it. Almacor was the supplier of the material. They bought it, and they've operated up until just this past year.
Oh, wow.
But now they've closed it. They're closing it down. But I was out there. I retired from there after 15 years. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. But it's.
Oh, well, tell me about your family. When did you meet
Okay.
your wife?
Yeah, Dot was from a family. Her father was a farmer, and he rented big farms around. I live at Strawberry, the little community Strawberry. Mr. Hamrick, Dot's father, he would rent properties that, farmland, and they farmed. Mm-hmm. Dot was from a large family so I knew the Hamrick family in time. I knew Mr. Hamrick and all the family. Well, Dot was, I'm 9 years older than Dot, so I knew she was, the little girl, the little Hamrick girl. But see, I went off to college and teaching and work. And Dot grew up on the farm, but then she said farm life just wasn't her thing. So she went to Birmingham and went to work for TC&I, Tennessee Coal and Iron, in the tin mill. And so Dot had a sister that was married and lived in the Strawberry community. I knew Chloe and her husband Cecil lived kind of next door. Well, one weekend, Dot came to visit her sister Chloe, that next door to us. And for some reason, I needed to see Cecil, so I went up there to Cecil's house, Cecil and Chloe's. And I went up there, and there's, the prettiest little black-headed girl up there, about 16, 18 years old.
She grew up.
Sort of grew up. And I got acquainted with her through her sister Chloe. And of course, Dot went on back to Birmingham after the weekend and worked. And I really never thought much about it, but then a few weeks or maybe a month or two later, she visited Chloe again, and I happened to see her up there, and she was sort of striking. I said, boy, that's a good-looking girl. And so I was talking with her brother-in-law Cecil, and I asked him. I said, "What is Dot dating anybody that you know of?" He said, "Well, I don't think so. I don't know." And he said, "You can ask her if you want to." And so I just asked her. I said, "Are you tied with anybody? Are you tied into anybody?" "No." I said, "Well, would you like to go to Huntsville to a movie maybe some weekend?" "Yeah, yes." So I said, "Well, next time you come up, let me know, and we'll just go over to Huntsville to a movie." And so in about 3 or 4 weeks, she came to visit Chloe again, and so we got together and we started dating. And so I dated her from let's see, about 50, probably 49 to 51. And she still worked on Birmingham till 53. So we dated a lot in that time period. And so she was home one weekend and we were riding around. So I just asked her if she was interested in getting married. She said, "Well, I've thought about it." I said, "Well," I said, "Okay, I'm going to propose to you." I said, "Would you consider marrying me?" She said, "Well, I guess." And so I said, "Well, all right, I'm proposing, and you accept or turn me down." It's been a great journey, yeah. But Dot's real smart. She first thing she did was take lessons in art. She took art lessons from a professional teacher. He taught classes here in Arab, and Dot took the classes from him. Well, she graduated after a couple of years from that, and she said, "I want to open a little art store." So we built a store down there on the farm, a garage and a shop. And she opened an art store, and then she began to teach art. So she taught art for, I guess, 5 years or longer. And then she got into stained glass and became professional in that. There was Charles, somebody from Arab here, was teaching stained glass. Mm-hmm. And so Dot took that, and she learned to do stained glass, and she opened a stained glass place and got involved in that. She's made some beautiful stained glass stuff, yeah. She's got a whole lot of stuff done.
Well, that's impressive.
And but Dot's got some health problems. She's we're not sure if it's in her neck and shoulders. It's like arthritis. She says it's just like arthritis. And of course she's got medication, but it still, that don't cure it, it just relieves it temporarily. So she has a pretty rough time at night. She sleeps with heat pads or something, to keep that arthritis down. But I've been blessed not to have had the serious illnesses till, I was telling you that I had those 2 bypasses in 2004, but I've not been bothered with it since. Yeah, I go to the VA twice a year, May and November, for my annual checkups, semi-annual checkups, and the doctor says, "Well, do whatever you do and see me in 6 months. So here I am.
And you have kids.
Yeah, we have 2 boys. Yeah, they're two years apart. Well, Mike was born in 50. We married in March of 53. Mike was born in March of 54, a year later. Well, then Lynn came along in 56, May of 56, 2 years later. And they both, they went to Blunsville, to Pennington High School, finished Pennington High School. And Lynn went to the University of Alabama, and Mike went to Jeff State. And Lynn, of course, went to Saudi for a couple of years and came back and got tangled up in his job in Texas, and so he wound up in Texas in Santa Fe. But Mike is a mechanic, car mechanic, or automobile mechanic, and he can do carpenter work, he can do mechanic work. He works with his hands, or did until this dialysis hit him, But he's, yeah.
Okay, to wrap this up, something I ask a lot of veterans is, either, what's your advice for younger generations, or your secret to a long life like you have?
Well, I would encourage any boy or girl, child, boy or male or female, be certain that you get all the education that you possibly can. Mm-hmm. Even after you finish high school, get college if you can possibly. And now there's programs where you can, if you want a college education, you can get a program. And I would encourage them to get all the education you can, and then decide, if you can, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do in life? And then follow that, pursue that thing, if it's what you really want, and put everything you got into it, and try to, but any special education that comes along, if you can, grab it. And there's programs now that you get just about any field now. You could get a special program that you can learn all you can about it. And a lot of people say, well, I think that a person needs to know God. And I found out in April of 1967 when I was converted. And I got in church, and I think the kids need to go to Sunday school, to a good Sunday school teacher. And they need to hear a pastor, a good pastor, that teaches them about God and what He requires. And we are required. I think every person has a requirement that he needs to fulfill if he possibly can. And it can be done. Yeah, I've been a Sunday school teacher for, I don't know, 30 years or longer, I guess. Yeah. But that is a must in a person's life. He must believe that God exists. A lot of people, they have a hard time. They say, I just can't understand, where is He and what is He? Well, if a person is truly converted, he'll find that answer. Yeah.